Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be my favorites for 2023, and I cannot believe this year is almost over. I feel like this year really just flew by. I feel like we just started 2023 like a week ago. But this year has been very good in some ways and very strange in other ways. But in January, I will come around to my 1-year mark here on YouTube, and then around this time last year is when I started my Instagram, and that was kind of like the first stepping stone for me to make this channel. So yeah, kind of some bigger milestones coming up for my YouTube journey and all of that. So thank you to all of you, 200 and something. That's kind of like weird to think about, like 230 something people watch my videos. I don't think I even know 237 people. I feel like I know maybe like 100, maybe 150 people, but I know that all of those people, like 100 people that I know, have not subscribed to this channel. So some of them have, and thank you to those of you who have. But yeah, that's wild. Yeah, that's not even like comprehensible. I'm like, am I even watchable? A lot of the times when I make videos, I'm like, I don't know, I feel like I'm boring, but I'm glad that some of you enjoy watching these videos. So anyways, I need to go ahead and get into these. I think we're gonna start with movies, and then we'll go to TV shows, and I'm saving the best for last. I'm gonna talk about books last because I feel like my books list is the part that I'm most excited about because I have some really good books on this list. So yeah, anyhow, let's go ahead and get started with the movies. Okay, so movies. Coming up at number 3, we have Persuasion. I watched this movie for the first time this year. Actually, all of these movies and TV shows and books I read for the first time this year, so I'll just get that out of the way. This movie, it is a Netflix film, and it is based on the Jane Austen novel Persuasion, and a lot of people didn't really like this movie, and that's probably because a lot of the people that watched it read the book before watching the movie, and I didn't do that. So I personally really enjoyed it. It was really funny and it was really cute. Such a cute movie, such a cute romance in there. It's like a kind of like an ex-lovers meet again, like what is it, 10 years later, and they reconnect, and spoiler alert, they fall in love again. Anyhow, I thought it was really cute. Now it can be a bit unrealistic just with the setting. It's kind of like in the same setting as, like, you know, like that Bridgerton type of era. I don't think that's Victorian. Anyhow, it's that kind of world, and so some of the things are a little bit unrealistic, I feel like, but regardless, I still really enjoyed it, and I loved the movie, and I already watched it like 3 times. So at number 2, we have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the one that came out this year, whatever the title is of that one. I really enjoyed it. Now, I prefer the first movie, but I feel like that's always the case, but nonetheless, it was still really, really good, and I love the Miles Morales Spider-Man, and just I love the animation and art style of it, so really good. Next kind of chapter in this story. So yeah, coming up at number 1, I feel like this one is kind of cheating a little bit, but I'm gonna give a specific. Number 1 would be the Harry Potter series. Now, you know, that's a series, and I feel like that might be cheating a little bit, but this year I finally watched all of the movies, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. So, but if I had to pick a favorite, it would be the 3rd movie, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. That movie was just like, when the end credits came up, I was just like sitting there just like mind blown. Like, that movie was so so good. And it's funny, I was watching the movies with my little sister and my little brother, and after every movie we would be like, okay, this one's my next favorite, and still number 3 was staying as my first favorite. So yeah, I loved all those movies very much. But now we can go on to the TV shows, which I feel like these are so good, so I'm excited to share them with you. So the TV shows, 2 of these are animated and 1 is like a live action, like regular people in it. Number 3, we have Haikyuu, an anime. I loved this anime so much. I just fell in love with the characters pretty much instantly from the first episode. Kageyama in particular, but maybe that's just the girl in me. Anyways, yeah, I was definitely crushing on Kageyama while I was watching the series, the TV show series. This one is of course a sports anime, and it's on volleyball, and I'm not a sporty person, if you couldn't tell. But this series just really made me want to like go outside and play volleyball, and I know that I would suck at it. Like, I think in middle school I wanted to play volleyball, like go on the volleyball team for a little bit, but I'm thinking now, like, that was a very unrealistic expectation that I had of myself, that I assumed I could play volleyball. Like, yeah, but that TV show, that anime, just really made me want to get up and just play volleyball, and it was a really good series. I really enjoyed all of the matches and how it was pretty realistic, and the pressure of the games, I just felt them so deeply. Like, I would just be in my room, I had it up on my monitor, and I would be watching it, and I would just literally just be screaming like along with the crowd in the anime. It was just so intense. I loved the games so much, and the build up of everything. A really good anime, sports anime. Then at number 2 and number 1 are kind of, they're very close, but anyways, at number 2 we have Invincible. I watched season 1 with my parents in February of this year, and we still haven't gotten to watching the 2nd season yet. Probably will sometime soon, but I really enjoyed it. I'm typically not super into like superheroes. I mean, I say that, but I like Marvel films, and particularly like Spider-Man. So I guess maybe I do like superheroes, but I'm not like, you know, every single superhero thing that comes out, I don't have to watch it. But my dad wanted to watch it, so my mom and I were like, yeah, we'll join in and watch it, and I ended up really loving it. There were only, what was it, like 8 or 10 episodes in season 1, and I feel like they packed in so much story, and the episodes weren't that long, but nothing felt rushed. Like, I feel like I got so much of the story, and I got so invested in the characters in a short amount of time. And usually when that happens, sometimes I feel like, that was rushed, but nothing whatsoever felt rushed in those 8 episodes. Like, it was just amazing. So I highly recommend that one, especially if you like superheroes and that kind of thing. And then number 1, oh my gosh, this show had me in a chokehold all summer, I feel like. This show became like my personality in the summer, and that is Daisy Jones and the Six. Oh my gosh, I will be rewatching this in the new year. I need to rewatch it. It was so good. So this show is based off of a book, which I did read the book. Wasn't my favorite. It was a good book, but because this story really revolves around music, a band. I feel like the show was way better in my opinion, just because you can hear the music and really hear like the whole songwriting process. And so that was really good. It's set in the 70s, which I just love that era, which I didn't realize I loved it until that show. So I feel like that show really kind of illuminated and highlighted a new interest in me in that whole 60s, 70s era. But it's really good. It has Riley, I forget her name, but and along with her we have Sam Claflin, which my gosh, I am totally like fangirling over him. If you don't know who he is just right off the bat, he played Finnick Odair in the Hunger Games, and the first time around when I was watching the Hunger Games like years ago, I was like, I don't really get what people have like this obsession with Sam Claflin. Like, I don't get it. I was a Josh Hutcherson type of gal, but watching it, I think I watched all the movies again last year, and I still liked me some Peeta, but Finnick Odair, I was like, okay, hold on a second. And then this year with Daisy Jones and the Six, I was just like, I get it. I'm sorry, I stand corrected. Sam Claflin is amazing. Anyway, he was amazing in it too, by the way. And he actually sings in it, and he has a great voice. So yeah, definitely check this one out if you like music and bands and the 70s era. It was so good. All right, now we get to talk about my favorite section in this video, and that is the books. So coming at number 5, this is a top 5 by the way. For the books, I had to do a top 5 just because I could not dwindle it down to a top 3. So coming in at number 5, we have a manga, and this is the only manga on this list. But that is just because I read some dang good novels this year. Like, so good. Anyway, the manga is Chainsaw Man. I first got into Chainsaw Man by watching the first couple episodes of the anime, and I decided to start picking up the series, and then I just read all of part 1, so volumes 1 through 11. This was such a good find for me this year. I feel like I tried out a lot of different series and I just didn't really like any of them. And so I was like, okay, let me just give Chainsaw Man a try. And it had been getting pretty good reviews at that point, and I absolutely love it. It is very bloody and pretty violent. But I think you just have to come into this series knowing that, I mean, Chainsaw Man, it's gonna be bloody. But the action is so good. Denji, the main character here, he's hilarious. He's a very simple man, and sometimes it's like, do you have any other dreams and aspirations other than women? Yeah, but you know what? I admire that he likes to live a simple life. And yeah, anyhow, the action is great. I love the other characters. I love what's his name? Aki? Was that it? Was that his name? He was my favorite character in all of part 1, and I won't spoil anything. But yeah, I loved this so much. So definitely my favorite manga of the year. And like I said, the only manga that I have on this list. And spot number 4 goes to The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. And this book, oh my gosh, I almost thought that I wasn't going to end up reading this year because I kept putting it off because the what is this, 513-ish pages, 517 pages that this book is. That intimidated me. If a book goes over 350 pages, I immediately am super intimidated by it and I procrastinate reading it. But I'm glad that I finally did, because I wanted to read this before watching the movie, which I still haven't gone and watched the movie. That is because I'm, you know, I want to wait a couple weeks, but also just hearing reviews and like from other people who have read the book and them just tearing the movie apart, I'm a little bit hesitant. I still will watch it, but I'm just not as pressed to watch it. But this book, we're talking about the book. This was so good. Definitely worth the read of like all the 517 pages. This first part, like right up until here, I was kind of just like sluggish, because this part felt a little bit like, not boring, but slow. It was just kind of like the build up to kind of like the main, you know, action of the book. And then the rest of this I just flew through within like a couple days. So this actually surprisingly went by super fast for me. But this is the prequel novel to the Hunger Games trilogy. And again, if you don't know, I am a huge Hunger Games fan. Yeah, this was an amazing book. So good. It's kind of like a villain origin story. And I think this was written really well to where I feel like with other like villain origin story books and movies, the authors and the filmmakers, I feel like try to make us feel sympathetic and be like, oh, okay, this happened to the villain and that's what made them bad, and it creates this whole like sympathy for the villain. But I think she wrote this really well to where it's like, you know, I feel like in some instances you feel charmed by President Snow and you're like, oh, like, you know, he's not so bad. But then you see little glimpses into his mind and see how selfish and cruel he really is. And then by the end of this book, you're just like, yeah, I despise his guts to how I do in the original Hunger Games series. So yeah, really good, really well written. I feel like the pacing, some parts it felt a little slow, but I think it made sense. So pacing overall, I would say it was really good as well. Really good and definitely did not disappoint me. I do have a full-on spoiler filled and part of it spoiler free review if you're interested in hearing more of my thoughts on this. And then number 3, we have the top 3. Number 1 has a very clear spot in first place, but 3 and 2 are kind of difficult to sort out. You know what? I'm gonna switch these around. I will be right back. Okay, so number 3 just got swapped from its second place spot. And I feel like, again, it might be kind of cheating, but it is the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. I absolutely love this. And again, I have a review for the entire trilogy up on my channel. So if you're interested in hearing more in-depth thoughts, go and check that out. But I read this over the spring and summer, and I really enjoyed this. This is a murder mystery, if you couldn't tell. And this is one of my favorite genres to read. So of course, I feel like that added to me really enjoying this series. But again, since this is a series, and if I had to pick one individual book to say that it was my favorite, I think the third book would be my favorite. Yeah, the third book was just on another level. Like after I finished it, I just closed the book and I was just sitting there for like a good 5 minutes, just like, what did I just read? And it was just the most satisfying conclusion to the trilogy. But yeah, really good murder mystery. I didn't figure out who did it in this one. I feel like in the trilogy, each book has its own like mystery to solve, but yet it all kind of connects to the initial murder that kind of strings all these other things and events into it. I feel like I'm not explaining this that well. You just have to read this for yourself. I will task you with reading this because I think it is such a good murder mystery, and it kept me guessing the entire time, which is always good. I need to have my mom read this because if she can guess who did it, she is another, I think she kind of like, her and I really enjoy murder mysteries. So I think I should have her read this and tell me if she guessed who done it. So yeah, at least for me, it kept me guessing the entire time. So I really enjoyed it for that. So coming in at number 2, we have Miracle Creek by Angie Kim. And this is another murder mystery and like a crime mystery. We're trying to figure out if a murder has taken place in this main kind of like arson crime. And the setting is primarily in the courtroom, you know, like for the trials for this case. So we get to really hear from all of the witnesses. We get to hear them testify and all of that. And this also has a non-linear timeline. So we get the flashbacks and then we go back to present day. And I think it was really, really well done. I feel like with other books that have non-linear timelines, I tend to get kind of confused and my head starts to spin a little bit, but this kept me engaged the entire time. Yeah, and it kept me guessing to the end. This is another one that I could not guess who did it. And yeah, the conclusion of this book is just, it wraps up so well. The characters in this are so complex to where in the writing in this, it makes you suspect literally everybody. Yeah, everybody. But still at the end, I was like, wait a second, that's who did it? So if you want a good crime mystery book, I definitely recommend this one. Very, very heavy book though. I will say I sobbed like multiple times over in this book because it was just so heartbreaking and heavy and bunch of trigger warnings, let me just say. I believe I did a review on this, so if you want to hear more about this, definitely check that out. But I'm gonna stop here, otherwise I won't continue talking about this one. It was so good. But now we have the star of the show. We have first place going to The Silent Patient. This book, I don't know how to talk about this book, and that is why I still have not gotten a review uploaded of this. Yeah, I have tried to sit down and film a video for this, but I feel like every time I sit down and talk about it, I just automatically, I don't know the English language anymore. Yeah, I'm just gonna read you the back so that you can get a sense for the story, because I feel like if I say anything, I'm gonna spoil something, and I don't know how to talk about this book. So Alicia Berenson's life is seemingly perfect until one night when her husband Gabriel returns home late from work, and Alicia shoots him 5 times in the face and then never speaks another word. Alicia's refusal to talk or give any kind of explanation turns a domestic tragedy into a mystery that captures the public imagination. And she, the silent patient, is hidden away from the tabloids at the Grove, a secure psychiatric unit in North London. Criminal psychotherapist Theo Faber is captivated by Alicia's story and jumps at the opportunity to work with her. His determination to get her to talk and unravel the mystery of why she shot her husband will take him down a path more unexpected and more terrifying than he ever imagined. So that is what is ahead of you if you decide to read this book, but definitely be warned that it is very heavy. There are, again, lots of trigger warnings with this, but I think if you are in the mood to read something very dreary and heavy and complex and a murder mystery, that type of thing, this needs to be your next read. If you're in that sort of mood, it was just absolutely amazing. Like 100 out of 10 stars. Like, it was just, this is the best book I have best fiction book I have ever read in my life to date. Yeah, I definitely will be rereading this soon because I need to. This is such a good book. But that wraps up my favorites for this year. It was a great reading year, and I hope that next year is just as good. I have a lot of good books on my TBR, so yeah, I'm going to be doing a much better job at logging everything that I read and watch, because I feel like as I was gathering this list, I had some very clear favorites, such as The Silent Patient. But like when it came down to movies and TV shows, I was like, wait, what did I watch? So I'm going to do a better job at that, and will be getting more consistent wrap-ups, monthly wrap-ups for you. But yeah, let me know, what was your favorite movie and what was your favorite book that you read this year? I hope that you all have, when am I gonna upload this? I'm gonna upload this after Christmas, so I hope you had a Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a Happy New Year. I feel like, yeah, this will be the last video this year, so I will see you in 2024. Bye for now.